All right, we'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Harriman City Council meeting. Today is March 1st, 2016. We'll start our meeting with a prayer by Councilman Wright, and we'll follow that by pledging to the flag. Councilman Wright, will you?
Yes, would you join me? Heavenly Father, we thank you that once again we can come together as citizens and leaders of the community and discuss and take action on things that are needed to be done in the way of providing service for our people. And may your spirit guide our minds tonight and help us as we arrive at decisions. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris Taylor.
Here.
Wayne Best.
Here.
Buddy Holly.
Here.
Kenyon Me.
Here.
Ken Minot.
Here.
Lonnie Wright.
Here.
Included in everyone's packet is a copy of the minutes from February 9th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Best, second by Councilman Abel. Councilman Best. Motion. Councilman Abel. Yes, sir. Floor is open for corrections or amendments or deletions. Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor.
Yes.
Wayne Best.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Kenyon Me.
Yes.
Ken Minot.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the salaries?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Minot, second. Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Minot.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly. Floor is open for questions or discussion about salaries. Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor.
Yes.
Wayne Best.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Kenyon Me.
Yes.
Ken Minot.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
This time we'll hear delegations from the audience. If anyone would like to address council, you may do so at this time. If you would try to limit your comments to 3 minutes to accommodate others that might like to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My question is, in the paper you have Harriman paving list. Lincoln Drive has not been paved in over 60 years. I know for a fact, because I've lived there 58 years and it hadn't been paved since then. But I noticed that there's other streets that have been paved again. But Lincoln Drive has not. Why?
All of the streets were scored and ranked. Do you know about anything about? Do you remember anything about Lincoln Drive?
Not specifically, I do not. I can tell you that of the streets that were scored either a D or an F, which were two lowest categories that we scored, the estimated cost to do all of them was a little over $5 million. We're planning on doing about $2 million worth of paving in this job. So to give you sort of a scale, once you get into everything that's scored a D, they're all pretty similar with regard to condition, and we're addressing roughly 40% of that grouping of streets.
We will make it a point though to go back out. Lincoln Drive is not too. That's between Washington and Margrave.
Yes, I think so. I think that's the way you put it. But Garrison Drive is right behind Lincoln Drive. And I noticed that Garrison is there.
It is on the list.
It is on the list.
Are there a bunch of potholes in the street?
Yes, there is. Not only is it potholes, but where the mains has broken loose, water's come up through the ground, the road, so it dips and dives. It's pretty bad.
I haven't been out there in a while. I'll go out there and take a look.
Would you please?
I will.
All right, thank you.
We will. We'll take an extra look tomorrow. Somebody will there.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We're still under delegations. Being none, we'll move on to old business. Councilman Holly.
Can anybody update me on the status of the old jewelry shop down there? I know it's scheduled for demolition, or at least I think it is.
It's one of the properties that will be turned over to the property maintenance officer as soon as they get on board. Maria had started the process of notifying the property owners about that property before she left to accept the other position. And so the new person will take that up as soon as they get on board.
I just wonder, I figured if it demolishes, we'll end up moving further down the block. Maybe Congress will fix something. The other thing is, do we know the status of the, for lack of a better term, the old fun house property? At the end of the old bridge, there was a bar and stuff down there.
I don't know if that's had it all, I believe that's been condemned.
I would think so, let's get it torn down a little at a time. I was by there today, and it looked like somebody demolished part of it.
You talking about the part, the big building? I'm not aware of that.
There was some windows broken out and other stuff.
They're just taking stuff out of it that they can use and then leaving the rest of it.
It's fine, it's just something like all. I didn't know if there was any update on that. I know we talked about it several months ago. But that's all I got.
Old business, Councilman Meade.
No, sir.
Councilman Best.
No, sir.
Councilman Ayler.
No, sir.
Councilman Minor.
No, sir.
Councilman Wright.
Yeah, I got one comment, related to the Pine Ridge Road project out there. First of all, I'm proud that we're seeing some progress, but man, that is a nightmare. That whole area out there, every way you go. I went out there to vote today and you'd have had to ride a mule to get through most of it. It just seems like it just keeps dragging and dragging and dragging. And I'll shut up.
That project's scheduled to be finished in June, is that right, is what I'm hearing?
That's what's
I
been
know,
said.
That was the latest, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't
have
count on
heard.
it.
Old business, Dr. Curtin.
Yes, I have one item. As you know, I passed this around about the deadline for penalties and interest on property tax in the county. The facing page that you see there is a newspaper article that was outlined why the county could delay till April 11th, 2016, the collection of penalties and interest on property tax. It was because the tax roll was delayed in being delivered. So you have 5 months from the date that the tax roll was delivered before penalty and interest. That's in state law applying to counties. Now, if you look over in our current situation in our code, you see that the finance officer in administering and enforcing the provisions of this act shall have as additional powers those powers and duties with respect to collecting taxes as provided in Tennessee Code annotated Title 67 and otherwise provided by law for the county clerks. And looking over, you see that in our charter, basically, as you recall, our tax season runs from October to the end of February, and then penalties and interest will apply on March 1. It doesn't say anything about extending, so I think with the provisions we have in the city charter, if you concur, I will delay collecting penalty and interest on city tax until April 11, 2016, as the county is doing.
Is there a motion to do so? Motion by Councilman Best, second. Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Best.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly. It's on the floor, it's open for discussion.
This is just for this year, right?
Yes, this year, unless we get delayed again next year.
Well,
Next time around.
We're not changing the charter.
Not changing the charter, no.
shouldn't we?
You're just abiding by this section I hear that the chief financial officer can use the same state provisions that apply to county clerks.
Has this been brought about because of the problems in the?
Delay in delivery of the tax roll by the tax session, yes.
Councilman Meade.
That, I mean, that might be something y'all were talking about reviewing charter, that we might have to reword that. It can happen again.
Yeah, you need to give some advice on the charter, if that's the way you need to.
I think that provision on the second page there, I, gives me, the tax collector, the ability to do whatever the county's doing in this case. So with your concurrence, I will do that. Because that would give the same amount of time, the 5 months that the state gives for applying penalty and interest.
Floor is still open for discussion. Any idea of what that, in previous years, what that penalty and interest cost would be?
No, it really depends on what's left at the end of February. And we've collected a significant amount of our tax.
Are our collections off any more this year than usual?
No, they're pretty much on track.
Any more discussion? Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
Yes.
Wayne Best?
Yes.
Buddy Holly? Kenyon Me?
Yes.
Ken Minnet?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes. Anything else, Dr. Curley?
That's it.
Allison, you have anything? Old business? Old business, Kevin?
No.
Move on to reports. HUB report, Mr. Young.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I know you have a long agenda, so I'll be brief. Gas line replacement project, we have a meeting later this week with our engineers to go over the plans. That's still on track to go to bid late spring, early summer for our phase 2 that work. The street lights from Morgan on Rome, from Morgan to the bridge, Steve's getting the schedule together on that since the weather's starting to break here, and we anticipate getting that work started in March. So that should be happening here just shortly. CDBG grant, again, we're looking at going out to bids probably in just the next 3 or 4 weeks. That's the water line replacement on Airport Road in the Oakdale area. It's about a mile line. Water line we're replacing there. The water plant rehab, as you'll recall, we'll be taking the filter down. They'll pull the media out. They will clean it. Repair, really not even repair to do the tank other than just maybe some sand and so forth, and then painting the tank. We have a 30-day window to do that. They're planning to start that about mid-month, and they'll probably be working pretty much around the clock down there, so they can get that accomplished in that time. That's being done by U.S. Tank, is our contractor. And one other thing, we've been in process of rerouting couple more of our electric lines. One that runs out Basil Road and ties in out of Hannah, and the other on Coffee Lane, and these are lines, again, that's been back off the road in wooded areas. We're getting them on the road, makes maintenance and repairs, so forth, a lot smoother. Slowly but surely, all these areas we've had where lines have been out, well off the road, we're getting those on the road right away where we get trucks into them and all that. So that's what I have, Mr. Mayor, unless somebody has a question.
Do you know if you all have any surplus poles that right now, aluminum? Somebody called me about some aluminum poles, maybe if y'all had, and then also some telephone poles to be surplus if you knew.
We just auctioned off all the poles that we had and sold those. They sell in one lot, so to answer your question, at this point, we don't.
Okay.
They just need to watch the papers from time to time when we advertise that. We are going to be having an auction of surplus equipment on April 2nd. The board declared last night a number of items surplus. We can get you that list. If there's anything the city can utilize, be glad to let you have that. I'll be frank with you, vehicle stuff like that you don't want. By the time we scrap them, they're done. But there may be some other things. might be able to utilize.
April 2nd.
April 2nd, yes, it's on 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Department reports. Johnson.
No, sir.
Didn't think you were coming today.
No, it rained, so.
Okay.
I got a couple things I was gonna update you guys on. The new cars have been in, and we're getting equipment put in right now, so they can probably maybe in next week, shoot down the road. That's after I get the numbers on them and everything, signed to them and stuff, so we'll have them in the road shortly. We also have the cars and the van ready to be on gov deals. We got them cleaned up, had inmates come down, I think it was Monday or Friday, I can't remember. Got all that detailed out, so they're gonna be ready to go on gov deals shortly. The other thing is that I've had some people call me about the ambulance in my impound lot, whenever I have an ambulance. It's actually gonna be used for our special ops SWAT team. We've actually used it already a couple of times. A couple of weeks ago, we had our indictments come down, and we had 10 different individuals that we arrested for drugs, selling drugs, and we were able to use that vehicle for the SWAT team to go do the search warrants, and it really worked out well. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is that I'm getting ready to go ahead and get it painted. I got the vehicle from Monroe County for $1. And Monroe County has agreed to go ahead and paint for me with their inmates down there. And I'm getting the paint actually donated, so it ain't gonna cost me any money, but it is gonna be painted black, and it will cost me a little bit of money to go ahead and put the decals on it for the Harriman Police Department, but it will be utilized for our special operation team, which basically, we utilize it for, when we're going out to train the range, SWAT team training with it. We may even use it to gear on a special, like ceremony, stuff like that, parade for Harriman and stuff like that, to use for just keeping storage of equipment we gotta have and working there and things like that. So the vehicle's only got 54,000 miles on it, so it's been a great vehicle. So I'm looking forward to getting it out there. So when you start seeing that black vehicle out there, which will probably within a month, that's what it is. It's gonna be that ambulance, and we turn it into a special operation vehicle.
That was the one that we tried, the fire department tried.
Yeah, tried the fire department, and I'm very grateful for them to give it back to me, because it's an excellent vehicle for us. All my SWAT team members, I have an 8-man SWAT team member, and every one man can actually fit in that vehicle. It worked out great, even have a driver in there for it, so it really worked out great. And, especially when we did the search warrants. We did a search warrants the other day on a residence, and it really worked out really well. So.
Thank you. Dr. Curley, you have anything?
That's all I have.
Any reports, Allison? Kevin?
A few things to make you aware of. One thing that the Planning Commission has started working on that once they take a look at and put a recommendation together, will be coming to council for approval. Deals with a uniform sign program for the Central Business District. This is a request that had been initiated by some of the businesses in the downtown area that were had some desire to have additional signage downtown. Our current sign ordinance prohibits any signs off the premises from where the business is located. So what they had done is had worked with Maria to put together a program like you might see in a number of different cities that you go to, where there's one type of sign that everyone utilizes, whether it's a civic group or a city facility or a business, that can be placed on the downtown corners to direct people to different locations. So they're putting together a proposal on that for Planning Commission to take a look at, and would anticipate probably next month that council will get a look at what that recommendation will be. Also, we do have final signed contract by all parties on hand for the Margrave Bridge project. So we are on track with that project to bid on April the 1st of this year. They'll be handling that for us. We have, to make you aware, I guess this is our 3rd week now that we have been able to have the trailhead open on a regular basis, and we plan to continue doing that after having a little bit of a gap in staffing that location. We've been able to put that back together, and Rebecca Schwartfingers been working out of that location throughout the week. So we do have that open to the public on a weekly basis. Having meetings set up with Rogers Group later this week to begin looking at the paving project and how the scheduling will go forth with regard to that particular project. So hopefully next week we'll have some additional information with regard to it to provide to you. We also, in reference to the question that was asked earlier, have interviews scheduled later this week for the property maintenance codes enforcer position. So hopefully we can have somebody on board to begin working on issues within that department just within a matter of a few weeks. And then lastly, as I know you are all aware and have had the opportunity to come by and meet Mr. David Bailey, who will be taking over as fire chief here for the city of Harriman. His first day is scheduled to be March 14th.
Questions? Codes enforcement is needed. I'm already getting a lot of complaints and pictures of stuff piled up everywhere, so we're looking forward to that. Committee reports.
Yeah, the beer board met last Wednesday to review 2 permit requests. Both were approved, so be hearing you talk about that.
You have 2 openings on the board, right?
We have 2 openings on board.
Any other committee reports? Are those new businesses or?
Well, Dollar Store and the Renaissance Festival. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Dollar General and the Renaissance.
Anything else? Committee reports. We're moving on to the agenda. If you don't mind, I'll move the last item on the agenda up to the first item on the agenda. Discuss and possibly approve resolution R0316-01, resolution authorizing the issuance of interest-bearing general obligation capital outlay notes of the city of Harriman, Tennessee in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $2 million. It's included in your packet, and I'll yield the floor to Dr. Curley.
If you would yield the floor to Scott Gibson, he'd be glad to explain the proposal
Yes,
that's
sir.
being brought to you.
My name is Scott Gibson. I'm with Cohen Securities out of Knoxville. We have helped the city in the past from time to time. The utilities and the city do various notes, bond issues in the past. The resolution you have in front of you is a resolution, as the mayor said, not to exceed $2 million for capital outlay note. We are proposing that that note be bid by the informal bid process under state law. If the note is $2 million or less, you can do the informal bid. What that means is we will contact almost every bank in the surrounding area and throughout the state that does business in the state of Tennessee, and give them the opportunity to review information on Harriman and then submit a bid back. So we will contact about 15 banks or so, maybe a few more, and hopefully we'll get 4, 5, 6 responses back. And our best guesstimate is that we would have an interest rate on this proposed note of about, I guess, to 2.15, but we'll see what the actual rates are. And if the rates are attractive, then we will move forward with issuing that note so that you can do your paving. So it's essentially, this informal bid process allows us to keep the cost down. There's no rating, there's no official statement. Some of the stuff you do for a normal bond issue that would cost more. But I think we'll get fairly attractive interest rates. The banks have contacted us quite regularly here. They're very interested in finding notes from local institutions, and a $2 million note's a pretty good size for them. So I think we'll get lots of interest out of that. Like I said, the lowest bid will be the winning bidder, and to the extent the rates don't come in like we think they will, we have some fallbacks that we can work on to get the city cheaper money. But I think we're going to be okay. So As part of that resolution in there, you're also authorizing the mayor to sign a financial advisory agreement with our firm. Under the Dodd-Frank rules that the federal government has passed, we have to have that agreement to act on your behalf, but we will be acting on your behalf as in a fiduciary capacity, so I have to do what's in your best interest at all time. If I don't, I get in trouble. And then the fees, which some of you may be thinking about, the fees to do this will be about $12,000. That pays our firm. It also pays the law firm, in this case, Bassberry and Sims out of Knoxville, to do the resolution which they have done, the balance of the closing documents, and to give a legal opinion that this is a tax-exempt debt, which the banks require now. So you gotta have that legal opinion to satisfy the bank. So that fee will cover all the costs. Does that answer everyone's questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just point out that this particular resolution also goes hand in hand with item number 11 on the agenda.
Yeah.
Which is basically the interest rate, which he mentioned, and various options that we had available for council to choose from. And the information as he presented it is the recommendation that Dr. Curley and I made to council.
You want to do that now in the same motion, or we want to separate?
I don't think you necessarily have to have a motion on item 11 because it's basically written into the resolution. I just wanted to make you aware that those two items were essentially covering the same topic.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wright, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Ayler. Councilman Wright.
Yeah, now that I made the motion, I just got a couple of questions. Charles, you and Kevin in agreement?
Yes, this is a plan that we proposed for you in that series of options that we gave you earlier. There are a few nuances that, are in the boilerplate that you could kind of argue a little bit, but it's essentially a good document and does what we think will give us the best plan over a 12-year period for a fixed rate that will not be subject to any turmoil in the market in the future. And it doesn't give them an out in 5 years to go away from us, so that's what we'd be looking for.
That's correct. The proposal we're going to send to the banks will require them to submit a bid back to the city for a fixed interest rate. That interest rate will be fixed for all 12 years. Additionally, we're going to have the note be prepayable at any time. So the city, if you have extra revenue at some point, if you want to make a partial whole prepayment on the note, you can too. So it really provides you with the most flexibility to move forward. Although I think the interest rates are going to be fairly attractive, so you might not want to prepay it because it's going to be so low. But that being said, you would have that option.
Councilman Wright, you still have
That's
the floor.
all I have.
Councilman Ayler.
I know that we've needed to do this paving project for many years, and it's been painful for those who have roads that need attention. And I'm just glad that we're doing it at a time when it costs taxpayers the least, with the interest rates being as low as they are. And I'm excited to get this project going.
Floor is open for question or discussion.
Yeah, I just have a question on like page 6, what we do about the blanks, or I know we don't have that. So
That is the form of the note, so that will be the actual note that we will sign at the closing once we have the winning bidder. That resolution is supposed to be like that. Those blanks are supposed to be in there. Those blanks will be filled in though. We'll have a set of closing documents, about 6 closing documents. One of those documents will be an actual note that we will give to the bank. All that information will be filled in. But the state requires that you have the forms, and then you fill in the blanks afterwards.
All right, and then on the last page, we might want to take Angie Skidmore out there.
Oh. Sorry.
Here you go.
She's not the clerk now, so.
We will get that fixed before we, to get.
Yeah, we have a new city clerk, that's true.
Floor is open for questions or discussion. Bill. Have a motion in a second. Time frame to have this, all of the informal bids and
I have drafted a email to send out to the banks tomorrow. I am proposing that we get the information back from the banks on Monday, the 21st of March. That gives them about 2.5 weeks. Does that work for you?
I think so, yeah. Okay.
And then once we get back, it'll take about a week or so to get the documents together. So maybe sometime that next week, April 1st, some date, we'll actually get all the documents signed and then get the money exchanged.
Okay.
Bank wire you the money and send a note. And then, like I said, if the bids don't come in like what we had, you have, like you said, other options that you've already looked at. We can go back and revisit those. But I do believe that we'll be in good shape based on what I've seen. I've done a couple of these notes here in the last month, and the rates have been pretty attractive. So.
Floor still open? Questions? Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
Yes.
Wayne Best?
Yes.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Kenyon Me?
Yes.
Ken Minnet?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yep. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, I'm going to leave you, this is our FA agreement. I have signed it. There's a couple of copies. If you want to sign it now, I can take one with me, and I'll leave one with you for your files. If not, you can get Kevin to mail it out if you want to look at it later, so it's up to you.
Okay, it goes hand in hand with what we just did.
That's correct. Yes, I have to have that for my benefit. You got it.
If it'd be okay, I'm gonna let her approve it, and then I'll mail it. Okay, thank you.
There's a couple other things that Kevin's going to send out tomorrow, so that he's going to have to send to the state, so we're going to be in good shape.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Next item.
everyone.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the presentation and approval of firm for city website redesign. Rebecca has a report for us.
Yes. Well, I'm going to start with a few other things that I had to talk about. I don't know if you guys were aware, but we had our first chili cook-off this Saturday, and it went really well. We had about 88 people come through. We had 13 people cook chili, and they all got along really great in the tiny kitchen. We were already too big for our space this year. And we actually had 3 people in here make chili. Charles and Ken and Chris made chili. Chris actually won the best mild chili, so congrats to him. So I think that was pretty successful. We had a lot of positive feedback, so I think that we'll have an even bigger event next year. I also wanted to touch on, today we met with Retail Strategies, which is a company that us along with Rockwood and Kingston are partnering with to help kind of bring us some retail growth into the community. So it's kind of nice to see that they are kind of moving forward with things and they are doing what they said they were going to do. And I can talk you through some of those later if you guys want to. And now I'm going to move on to my other demonstration.
While she's doing that, I will touch on the chili. We're gonna put her under department reports too. Should have been, but I don't know how many people did you say came?
88 about.
Yeah.
And we sold like 100 tickets up front, and I think we sold about like 30 at the door. So I mean, we did really well.
Any idea how much money you made?
Yes, we made about. Hold on. We made about $200 in profit. So, and I was worried we were just going to barely break even, so I was happy that we even made a little bit of profit.
Yeah, it was a good time for everybody too. Everybody showed up and had a good time.
Yeah. Oh, I also forgot to mention one other thing. We're going to try to get together like a round table for business owners of the community later in this month to kind of just bring everybody together and talk about their concerns as business owners in Harriman. So now I'm ready for this. I actually printed off some of the slides for council on that instead of watching them. I think I have enough for everybody.
I will note too, while she's doing that, I'll pass out on what Kevin said with the downtown sign for the business district. For our dad business district downtown, we have some 30-something businesses between Emory Street and Georgia Street. So from the bridge to Georgia, the high school, there's some 30-something businesses in our dying downtown, which is way more than anybody else in the county that has a downtown.
So I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to try to be really brief. I know you guys have a lot to get through tonight. We really found 2 companies that we were talking about, and one of them is Civic Plus, and the other is EvoGov, and I'll go through both of those as briefly as I can. Civic Plus has been in the industry for about 15 years, working with governments. They have about over 2,000 clients. Their average project timeline for us is about 16 to 25 weeks. They have a lot of interesting features. You can do like emergency alerts on the website, and those also could be sent out to the citizens. They could sign up for an email. So if we have like a flood that's coming through, we send something out to our citizens letting them know. And it would also make our site mobile responsive, which it is not right now. And that's kind of something we just need to do to get up with technology. And this is an example of one of their sites that they've done. And this is a community that's roughly the same size as ours. And I can click on the website if you guys would like. I don't know if you wanted to see that or not. Just because a lot of both companies have a very interactive kind of interface with it, where they'll have menus that drop down. But so you can kind of see they have different menus that kind of pop up out of everything. They also have a kind of community spotlight at the bottom. So this is just one example of the many things they could do. They have a lot of different options on there. So this is just kind of a brief look of what they could do for us. And I think both companies have beautiful websites that would be a great move forward for us. Okay, and then basically the numbers, which I know is what a lot of you guys care about. It costs us about $1,600 up front in costs, and then there would be a recurring payment of $4,300 every year for the hosting and maintenance fees. In their proposal, they also offer, after 4 years, we're eligible to do like a basic website revamp at no cost. So that's kind of interesting in that way. Does anybody have any questions about them? I'm about to move on to the next one.
That's 16,000 then.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, yeah, 16,000. EvoGov is the second company we looked at. They're a lot smaller. They've been doing web design and stuff since 1997, but they just moved into like local government and government websites in 2012. And whenever they started, they kind of had a focus on smaller municipalities, so they kind of honed into the smaller communities and kind of what worked for them, what didn't. Their project timeline was 12 to 15 weeks, which is a little bit shorter than the other company. And there's just a list of some of their features that they also offer. One of the ones that kind of stands out for me is they, at no additional charge, anytime they have new features or updates, they automatically add it to your site. And so that means we'll kind of continually have an update website. We won't have to do a whole rebrand in like 5 years. Like, it'll continually be growing with everything else. And they do unlimited pages. We can do live video streaming, so I mean, we could put our council meetings live on the website. They also have multiple calendars. They can even have a public calendar where citizens can submit something to be on the calendar, and it can be approved as kind of like a community bulletin board type thing. And there's one of their sites. They have a cool interactive map on theirs, which this is their like Parks and Rec. But basically, you can filter the map down in what you're looking for. So if we're looking for just skate parks, it'll show us which and where they are. And once you kind of click on the little bubble, it'll give you some more information about them. You can do some stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. And there's a view of one of their other websites. This is one that they kind of pulled up that was similar to our size as well. It's beautiful. But that's it.
Looks like Walden Ridge.
Yeah. Well, it's in Alaska. So. But their big thing, they had one company that, I think it was this company that, for this city, that wanted to do just a picture on their homepage. They didn't want to have anything else. They're kind of hesitant to go with them. They've actually started doing it with a lot of different ones because it's pretty, and then they have these big menus that drop down that kind of show you what information there is. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Rebecca, do you have a suggested vendor for this? Is there one you would prefer?
Yes, if you give me one more slide, I'll get there. This is kind of the numbers for you. I wanted to just evenly kind of describe to you both companies before I made my recommendations, so that way you didn't have a slanted view. But this company's quite a bit cheaper. They're $8,850 up front, and it's $150 a month for $1,500 annual fees for hosting. And they break it up into 3 payments that you can do. So they kind of do one whenever the work begins, do one when the prototype is approved, and then do another one whenever everything's kind of up and running. And then a 5 payment. Any questions?
So-
Did I go too fast for that? Sorry.
So which one are you?
My recommendation is Evoco. I just feel like us starting out, I don't think we need a huge fancy website. And not that I don't think that they will give us not a fancy website, but I think that for the price, I think Civic Plus is kind of offering more than what we really need initially. And I think we can get there with EvoGov. And I think they have a better idea of kind of like the small communities, the small governments, and they have kind of that as their focus. And they don't care as much as like, oh, we have this many clients, we just want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They'd rather work with you to make sure your site is the best. They have a shorter project timeline as well, so we'd be up and running a lot sooner. But I just have this nagging feeling that there's something more to Civic Plus. And I mean, that's more just a gut feeling than like on hard facts, but I'm kind of worried that we'll get into bed with them and find something out that we don't like, or that they have some more hidden fees and stuff. And I just feel like EvoGov's been a lot more transparent about everything.
It's $2,800 a year cheaper too, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And actually Civic Plus was more expensive and we talked them down a little bit. We had to go up the ladder and bring the price down, which when I talked to EvoGov, I talked to the president of the company, so he called me to kind of talk about things. And this is something that I kind of saw as a plus. EvoGov's team is a little bit smaller. There's 4 people on their team versus 6 for the Civic Plus. But the feeling I got from Civic Plus is like they have 6 people, but it would be like 6 different stages that would be just passed off to another person every time. Whereas the other one, I think all 4 people are going to come together and kind of work with you, and you'll be with them through the whole project. So I kind of like that relationship a little bit better as well. Does anybody have any other questions? I also have their formal proposals if you'd like to flip through those as well.
Are both either one of them to go with? Are you gonna be able to go in and they'll design it for you and then you're gonna have control over it?
Yeah, and they both have a staff that can go, if I ever have any questions, I can go to them, talk to them, and they'll walk me through everything. But yeah, I will still have control of the site once they've kind of built it out, which is above what I am able to do. So, and they'll be with me kind of figuring everything out too and working with it, so.
Can we do with EvoGov about the same thing? The other one as far as alerts and what have you?
Yeah, honestly, both of them had about the same features. One of them might have had a little bit more into them, but I don't think we need all that extra fancy stuff. I think having just a functional website that looks nice and easy to navigate is our #1, and I think that we can get that with EvoGov.
Either one of them have an app for your phone?
I think they both can do that. I know I asked one of them for sure and they said they could, but both of them are also responsive, which means they'll fit on a computer, they'll fit on an iPad, they'll fit on your tablet, they'll fit on your iPhone, so.
Did I hear you say something about having a meeting with business owners?
Yes. But that's
there-
not the same.
Is there any way we can tie our business community to this as a partnership and let the business
Can I have like a
community pay for
spotlight?
it?
Is that what you mean? Like have a page that spotlights the businesses in Harriman?
Here's my question.
Okay.
Can we do that and charge a fee so that the business owners pay for the,
I could see that as a thing that we could do. I
Look
mean,
at-
I would
into
think of
that.
it as a business spotlight and have, if you want to pay so much money, you will get on this website. But I feel like we could get into a little dangerous territory that way of like, well, some people think we're being unfair. But I think that we could work that out with something. I didn't mention this, but both of them also have like a citizen tracker service where basically if people have potholes, they can submit it straight to the website and we will be alerted by that and we can kind of have the transparency between us and our citizens to kind of talk through what's going on. And both of them integrate with social media too, so things will be communicated that way as well.
Is there a motion to go with the recommendation of EvoGov? Motion, Councilman Ayler, second. Second, Councilman Holly. Councilman Ayler.
I think we've needed this for a long time. We've had 2 websites running parallel for a while. I don't think we do anymore.
They will also, the other site is gone, but the URL is still there and it's #1 on Google, and both of them said that they would be able to bring those websites together. EagleGov talked us through it a little bit better and made it more clear kind of what was happening, but they can go in and get that domain and kind of link them together, so if people accidentally go to the old site, it'll take them to the new one. So, sorry.
So I think for tourism and, you know, everything that we're trying to do to bring people into Roane County, I think to project and have a very clear message of what our city has to offer, it's an investment in everything else that we have going on. That's all I have.
Councilman Holly. Floor is open.
So what website are we going to use? So I guess is it City of Harriman?
.net.
So if you go to .net or if you go to .org?
In the future, it will take you there. Right now, if you go there, .org is nothing, and it'll just take you to a blank page that says error. So they're going to link those together. So if you accidentally go to the old one, and since it is #1 on Google, it'd be nice if, like, when they clicked on that, it brought them to the other page.
Do we have money in the budget?
The council set aside $25,000 in TVA image funds for this purpose, none of which have been used at this point in time.
None's been used?
Not out of the $25,000 allocation for the website.
Okay.
Floor is still open. Thanks for your hard work. Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
Yes.
Wayne Best?
Yes.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Ken Minor?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yep.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is discuss and possibly take action on a proposed agreement with Roane County on the delinquent sales tax. There was an updated copy of this agreement that was passed out just prior to the meeting that had some changes in it. This is the agreement that we've discussed several times over the past couple of months in regards to our delinquent sales tax process. This would be where we proposed where we have joint liability with the county. What is the will of the council on this matter? Is there a motion to approve this agreement?
Clarification. I thought that you said sales tax, didn't we?
If I said sales tax, I'm sorry. It's property. I was reading it said tax sales. If we don't pass this, then we will just continue on our delinquent tax sale as we were.
I think for purposes of discussion, we need a motion, correct? So I'll make the motion.
The motion to get it on the floor to discuss is by Councilman Ayler. Second? Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Ayler.
I guess I should defer to the city manager on this, or perhaps Charles Curley. I really haven't had a chance to look at it. But I know that this is an issue that needs to be addressed, for sure.
Councilman Holly.
The only thing I didn't understand was, didn't go through there.
Say it again, sir.
Number 5, I had a little issue with understanding what. But yeah.
In the paragraph, in the last paragraph where it says whereas the opening governmental bid at the delinquent tax sale may represent the amount needed, may was highlighted in red. Also under section 2, provided that when the legislative body of the tax entity determines that the environmental risks, and then here's the part that was highlighted in red, or other factors the legislative body of the tax entity is legally entitled to consider, is in red. I just got this updated copy, by the way, just 30 minutes before we came in here, so that's why it wasn't updated in your packet.
They should be shown.
Could I give you a little history about this? Some time ago, it was probably 14 years now, 15 years, we were collecting city and county taxes at the same time. The county executive at that time decided to not collect city taxes anymore and go alone and only collect county taxes. The consequence of that was the county could sell the property and give a title that was not clear, or if they sold the property and then sold the property to a buyer to get a clear title, they would have to collect our taxes and send those taxes to us. As a consequence of that, there were some cases where properties were sold without tax being collected for us. But now the county has to do that in order to give a clear title. The problem that the county, I think, got into was breaking off away from collecting city taxes and taking all the liability and all the consequence of selling the properties. What we have in this situation is you're being asked to take on the partial liability with the county now by going to joint sales again the way they used to do. And part of the reason for that was the Miller and Brewer building that had a big environmental problem and was not excluded from the tax sale. Now you can, with properties that have major environmental problems associated with them, exclude them from the tax sale and proceed with trying to get the owner to court system to clean them up. In this case, in the Mill Brewer case, they're trying to go retroactively to get that undone so that they don't own it anymore. But it's already cleaned up now. In our situation, we have two types of delinquent properties. One type involves joint taxes due to county and city, and the other involves only the city, because we did have some taxpayers who paid the county taxes but did not pay the city taxes. And when we buy those properties that the county taxes are paid, that's not a joint agreement anymore. We simply accept all the liability associated with selling those properties. For those properties that still have a county and city tax, you still have, with this agreement, a case of adopting joint liability with whatever you have to do to clean it up. There's pros and cons about that. I think in our case, we're simply accepting more liability. We're simply accepting because we actually have our taxes collected two ways that are delinquent. One is through the clerk and master, and the other through county sales in which they give a clear title to the properties. In those cases, those delinquent taxes are collected. Now what happens with respect to properties that are nearing 10 years, you either have to sell them or you lose the tax. And so when those properties reach near the 10-year level, we see that most of that tax that is owed to the city is collected by the clerk and master. So you might have outstanding $10,000 of delinquent tax in a given year when you get near the 10-year interval. And you have to compare that $10,000 against any liability you may be accepting with a joint contract agreement. In the case of Mill and Brewer, $10,000 or $220,000 is what you're looking at in terms of liability. There is a pro associated with it. It's likely that you won't see another case like Mill and Brewer in which the liability would be so great, primarily because the county most likely would try to get those excluded from the tax sale. We do have some properties on Rome Street that definitely have some problems down near Chase Drugs. And if those are excluded from tax sale, then the property owner or people who own the property or their heirs could be forced through the court to clean them up. So basically, your liability may be less in the future that you might face than what you would have faced with Bill and Roy. That's the only pro I see about it, and possibly it would accelerate cleanup of delinquent properties. So there could be a benefit from the cleanup standpoint, but you have to accept the fact that you are adding that liability without gaining any greater revenue other than you get it faster than collecting through clerk and master over time. So that's the best I can summarize for you.
Floor is still open for discussion.
If we go in this agreement, the buildings that the county has taken, the other buildings downtown, does this agreement, do we go in partners with those other buildings they've already took?
Not the ones that were already taken.
Not the ones they've already sold or taken at,
This would be from whatever day we sign it, going forward. My only concern is that going forward, when we start our delinquent tax bills, that they will share joint liability with us proportionate to what is owed without this agreement. You think they will, even if we don't sign this agreement?
well, if they sell any property that they have taken, and we don't have a joint agreement in place, they cannot transfer that property to a clear title to that property without collecting our tax at closing. So we will get the tax whether or not we have this agreement in place. I think the county made a mistake, that's just my opinion, of breaking away with a joint operation of selling and sharing taxes on delinquent property. And I think they got themselves in this hole all on their own, not because we asked to be excluded. So
It was my understanding that if they sold a piece of property, if the county sold a piece of property, that we had delinquent taxes on it.
we still can go in and sell that property ourselves.
But my understanding was in the past, if they sold it at their auction, that none of the proceeds came back to the city.
Gave nothing back to us. In fact, in a few cases, they sold property for more than tax owed, and they gave the money back to the owner rather than pay the city tax. So it was not one of the best hours for
Would this fix
joint.
This appears to fix that.
Pardon?
This appears to fix that, is this not true?
I can see no way, basically, other than maybe accelerating cleanup of properties. That's a goal that the city has, that you would benefit in the long run in having this agreement in place.
This proposal came from the county, by the way, right?
I don't know. Did it?
We didn't initiate it.
They did.
Clarify on something that Buddy was asking. I think in recent years, when they sell a piece of property, they pay us the taxes,
Yeah.
correct?
Mhm.
They do pay us.
In order to get clear title, yeah.
You're
they
still in
do.
order to get a clear title.
Right.
If they're not looking to get a clear title.
But I think that they do everything with clear title now. I think that's
Can they
right.
utilize it?
What's that?
Can they utilize it for county use? They don't care whether the title's clear.
Could they utilize it for,
County use, irregardless.
if they didn't sell it? Yes. But it's not in their interest or our interest to keep properties off the tax roll.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so therefore they're probably continuing effort to try to sell the properties. And I think though the properties that we have designated that we're gonna sell that are over 5 years old, a large chunk of those would not fall under any of this agreement because the taxes for the county have already been paid. we would be responsible for ownership, cleanup, and resale.
Does this in any way speed up the process for taking back delinquent properties or putting them up for sale, I should say?
It could accelerate the sale if you're willing to take the liability. Rather than taking the payments over a longer period of time through the clerk of master, which we do get a good amount of money collected through the clerk of master, which really, it's like a downward slope of a curve. You start out with a pretty big figure here, but by the time 10 years rolls around, the clerk of master has collected the majority of our delinquent tax.
But this is separate from our delinquent tax sale. If we don't pass this agreement, our delinquent tax sales through Sandy are still gonna continue.
They're going to continue.
They're gonna continue on, we just won't have any joint liability with the county.
What I'm hearing is that this agreement gives the advantage to the county because we accept partial liability.
That's right.
We're still getting the taxes if we agree or not.
Yeah.
So the only thing we're doing is taking more liability on ourselves.
That's true. Without the agreement, there is a provision in state law that says if we sell property, the county gets the first cut of the sale. In other words, if county is owed $50 and we owe $25 and we sell it for $100, they get their 50 first, and then we get the 25 or the 50. Depends on what you sell the property for, but under an agreement like this, there will be a prorated sharing of the tax. In other words, the properties that we're getting ready to sell may include a combined set of properties that have both county and city tax due, but I have a feeling that a large portion, and maybe greater than 50%, only owe city taxes, and therefore when we sell those properties, we don't have any benefit under a joint agreement. It's totally our sale.
Any more discussion? There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
No.
Wayne Best?
No.
Buddy Holly?
No.
Kenyon Me?
No.
Ken Minnet?
No.
Lonnie Wright?
No.
Motion failed. Next item is discuss and approve expenses related to the separation of the Public Work Director and the Recreation Director. Kevin, can you report on this?
As you will recall, we began discussions a few weeks back with regard to how to move forward with regard to staffing the positions of Public Works Director and Recreation Director. As you know, the positions have most recently been consolidated under one staff position who has performed the responsibilities related to both positions. Historically, the positions have been separately staffed by two different individuals with an entirely different set of responsibilities. With the impending retirement of Mr. Langley at the end of March, if we're going to look at dividing this again among two different staff positions, as was discussed last year at the strategic planning retreat, this would be the best time to do so. And prior to opening up a call for applications for the position or positions, I feel like this decision needs to be made so that the applications and skill sets that we are looking for are known prior to starting this process. Provided you some information that you had requested the last time we discussed this with regard to maybe what the job descriptions and responsibilities would look like for each position, as well as some general estimates as to what impact this would have on the budget going forward. Realizing that as late as we are in this fiscal year and the amount of time that it takes to get through a hiring process, the true impact would most likely be on next year's budget and not on this year's budget, should we decide to divide this into two positions. Obviously, two positions is going to be require more from a budget standpoint than the one position does presently.
You need, you want us to vote on an option?
Well, we need, we need some direction as to how to go about filling these positions, either with a single individual or two different individuals. And it will require not necessarily council action at this point in time, but it is something that you will have to consider as we move into next year's budget. So, yes, we need some direction. I don't know if that necessarily has to be in the form of a vote, if council is in agreement that it should be two positions, but
If all we're needing is a motion to separate into two positions, I'm happy to make that motion. As far as the budgetary aspect of that, I think that requires some additional discussion, but I for one am in favor of that, so I'll make the motion to split those two positions.
Second motion. There's a motion on the floor right now to split the two positions from the with rec and street superintendent by Councilman Ayler, and there's a second by Councilman Best. Councilman Ayler, would you like to elaborate?
Well, we just discussed this at our, I think as you alluded to, Kevin, at our strategic planning retreat, and I think we were all pretty much in agreement at that point that that would serve the city well to have that position split into two, and I'm in agreement.
Councilman Best.
I agree with Councilman Ayler. We've been blessed to have Mr. Langley do both positions at the price that he's done it for, but we've all known that eventually that's going to have to be split. Both jobs are full-time jobs, and they both require two different people to do them, and I think this direction we need to be going.
Floor is open. Motion and a second to separate the two positions. Any more discussion? Call the roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
Yes.
Wayne Best?
Yes.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Ken Minnet?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Moving along, discuss and approve expenses related to ball field infield maintenance. Go back to you again, Kevin.
I guess this is both a short-term and long-term discussion rolled into one. Back when we received the TVA image funds, we started some upgrades at the ball fields. Part of the discussion at that point in time involved doing some additional infield maintenance that wasn't part of the original budget that had been outlined, but certainly was within the scope of what the overall funding had been provided for. Got some numbers for you with regard to cost per unit to do certain work on the infields, but we still have not been able to get the grades shot to know exactly how much quantity we will need of infield mix. We had actually had that scheduled and set up with some local company volunteering their time, as well as some city staff to assist on one of the days that we ended up having snow, and it was a little hard to do under about 1.5 inches of snow at the ball field, so we had to cancel that. The infield mix that we discussed, which is marketed by a company out of Columbia, Tennessee, and is used widely throughout the area for city complexes, high schools, semi-pro, and even professional level facilities. Costs $1,350 per truckload. That's the cost of the material plus the transportation. That's roughly 22 to 24 tons per truckload. We, that would be scheduling everything through the company that does the sales. I had a price as to what the material alone would cost, got an estimate as to what it might run if we were to arrange the trucking on our own. Their price for trucking the material in was better than, lower than the quote that we had received for arranging it separately. Ran some numbers on four fields, Papermaker, the two softball fields at Flower Mill Flats, and the field at South Harriman. And these are very general estimates, but it appears that it would require 8 truckloads to raise the level of each field for the entire surface, skin surface, 1 inch. And like I say, we don't know at this point in time exactly how much each of the fields need to be raised. We do know, in speaking with the high school coach with regard to Papermaker Field, that he thought 2 trucks would be sufficient to do what they needed to do at that location. So, and I know they've got some games coming up here pretty quickly. So, I'm putting that information out there for council to decide how you want to move forward. We certainly have a request on the table for 2 trucks for Papermaker, what the high school feels like they need for their upcoming season. We've got the unit prices here. If council wanted to authorize any type of dollar figure for the other fields once we get the grades shot on those, so that we would be ready to move forward with working on those when the information is available. I would point out, of course, everyone was aware of this at the time that we had this discussion. The specific funds for the ball field were exhausted by the fencing alone. So as you had that list of roughly 12 items in priority order from 1st to 12th, the direction was to just start at the top and go down until the funding was exhausted. This would certainly begin to eliminate the items that were ranked 12th, 11th, and down on the bottom of the list.
Is there a motion to move forward with this?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Best to go ahead and approve the infield maintenance at $1,350 a truckload. Do we want to cap that?
I would say no more than 8 truckloads until we come back. I mean, it may not be that much because some of the fields may not require as much.
Not to exceed 8 truckloads at $1,350 a load.
Second.
Second by Councilman Ayler. Councilman Best.
My only thought is, we went down and looked at the fields and they are way, they're below grade. We've spent $80,000 putting fencing up and stuff, and the fencing's not any good if your fields are not capable of playing. So I think while we're doing it, right now is the best time to redo them, get that expense out of the way, and let's bring some teams in here and start playing ball.
Councilman Ayler.
I was at a East Tennessee Regional Leadership Retreat this weekend, and sports tourism is the #1 fastest growing segment in tourism in the United States right now. And if you look at the focus of the Rhone Alliance, that's their focus from the tourism director, and we're really starting to see some benefits from it. We have the state championship bicycle race in Tennessee this year. That's a big deal. We haven't had it since 1998. So, I think investing in our fields, investing in our infrastructure to host those kinds of events just lends a positive image to the community and hopefully fills up our hotel rooms, and they fill up their tanks when they're in town.
Yeah. Floor is open for discussion.
Does this, you're talking about raising the infield by 1 inch? Does that entail removing and replacing the infield grass?
No, sir, this paper maker is the one field that we have that has infield grass, and this will be
Just the baselines?
just the baselines, yes.
What about improvements to drainage? We looked at that?
We have primarily looked at drainage as it relates to the little field that's back behind the 2 softball fields, and are looking at some options with regard to it. And we haven't done anything with it yet, and that's why I did not include the mix for that field as of yet, because I feel like we need to make sure that we solve the water problem down there before we invest this kind of money into putting the infield back.
When these are shot and graded though, with the new dirt, it will improve the drainage on the infield because it'll drain it to wherever we want the water to go instead of where it goes now.
And this, because of the way this material is mixed, they say that
It absorbs.
it absorbs, and as a result of the way it works through, the amount of maintenance you have to do with it, it has a 6 to 7 year life, which is about double if you just bring in regular dirt that doesn't have the additive that they put into this with it.
I'm not trying to throw something in the ring that's negative, but just to make it clear, to think that this thing is going to be a big revenue producer, I think is fallacy. The reason I think that is, if you all been to Rockwood, I've been to Rockwood, I watched my nephew play down there. They got a really top-notch field, and we're going to be in competition with them. But the people that go to Rockwood, and all of them I met over there when the boys were in the tournaments down there, they were from Telco and Sweet, all over the place. They stayed in Harriman. They ate in Harriman. So all Rockwood got was ball teams. All those people stayed and ate in Harriman. And when they get through with Swan Pond over here, that nice TVA facility, those people do the same thing. There's only one hotel in Kingston. So they're going to be staying in here, and they're going to be eating in here. So it's not going to be a big financial gain from that, bringing people into Harriman, because they're already coming in there. So, like I said, I'm not against improving the field. I think that's a fine idea, but don't base it on the wrong idea. That's why.
Well, I'll touch on that a little bit. I'll be in Cleveland all weekend this weekend. I do have a good alarm system at home too, if anybody, when they see this on TV. But I'll be down there all weekend in Cleveland for softball tournaments, which they don't host a lot of in Rockwood, so we could target that. But I agree with you, we get a lot of benefit right now from Rockwood. We don't have anything, but some of this too is just taking care of what we've got. It's been, I don't know, again, 40 years since we've done anything with those fields, so.
Well, I'm not against doing something, but I just didn't want to base that on the hopes of big dollars are going to be. They're already rolling in big dollars.
Well, you can also pick up off weekends and you can schedule around and make it for every weekend. Kind of like if you look at the Expo Center, the extra tax money we collect to invest in it. It's booked most weekends, and we benefit off of it. So we're not booked every weekend now off Rockwood ball tournaments. I agree with you. We're getting a lot when they have them. We get a lot off of it, but that's not.
Well, they're in the same hotel. So if they're staying,
I understand that.
They're staying the night. They better come there.
We're hoping we get to build more hotels off this.
That's one of the reasons we just split we just split the rec job for a reason, and I think that was one of them, was to increase that type.
Well, but there are other recreation needs too. Ball field and stuff. But I think I just didn't want to go because it's a big food trucks. It'll be nice to have people in a nice city.
We're still under discussion. The motion is to approve $1,350 a load, not to exceed 8 truckloads to begin with. Should cover 4 fields. Any other discussion? This money will also come from the TVA image repair money is to promote tourism. So not actually costing the taxpayers anything. Any more discussion?
Have you thought about if you think it's gonna take 2 truckloads to do the paper maker, have you thought about what it's gonna take to do the softball fields and the field out in South Harriman?
Papermaker I think is worse than any of them. It has a lip on it that's really dang, yeah, so it's a little bit worse.
It'll take more than 2 truckloads though to do those other fields. If it takes 2 truckloads to do the paper maker, it'll take more than 2 truckloads to do those other fields.
Papermaker's got less surface area of dirt. It only has the baselines, so the 2 truckloads will just go on the baseline, but it's worse. It's
Well,
worse.
I understand that. It's still gonna take more than 2 truckloads to do those other fields. You got much more surface area to cover it. You don't have just the baselines, you've got the entire infield on those fields, so it'll take more than 2 truckloads on those. If you're gonna raise it an inch all over. That's something to think about.
Yeah, these numbers were based off of one of the infill mix company's estimates as to what it takes based upon the size of the field, whether it has grass infield or not, and then what the distances are for the bases, because that affects how large the infield is. So that's how I came with these numbers. But you know, as they pointed out, every field's a little different, so they're not hard and fast numbers.
Any more discussion? Motion in a second. Any more discussion? Call the roll.
Chris Taylor,
Yes.
Wayne Best,
Yes.
Buddy Holly,
Yes.
Kenyon Me,
Yes.
Ken Minnet,
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
If it's okay, we'll skip 14, go to 15, discuss and approve final reading on ordinance 0216-01, an ordinance to levy an additional sales and use tax within the municipal boundaries of the city of Harriman, Tennessee. Kevin?
This would be the second reading on the ordinance which you had previously passed, which would call for a referendum to be held in conjunction with the countywide election later this year for the residents to vote on whether or not to increase the sales tax in the city of Harriman by 0.25%, with the proceeds going towards infrastructure projects within Harriman.
There's a motion to approve this ordinance for the second reading. It approved the first reading a couple of weeks ago. Motion by Councilman Best, second. Second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Best.
I just think that it's not something we're really gonna see as far as a person, and it's better than raising property tax. Just like the young lady had said, her road needs to be, this gives us money to start doing those things, where we don't have to raise our taxes to do it. And if you look, this handout that you all gave us, most places are already at the 9.75 or 0.975. So I think it's just bringing us up to speed where everybody else is at.
Councilman Wright.
Yes, as the city manager alluded to earlier, this first phase of paving, which we just agreed to a $2 million loan, only gets 40% of those streets that are in such bad need of repaving and repair. And that's good. We haven't had any in 5 or 6 years or longer to speak of. But to address the other streets that can't be done this year, we need a follow-on program. And I think we all realize we can't come in every year and borrow $2 million, that we do need some new revenue. And sales tax, as we have looked at various ways to raise revenue, is probably one of the fairer types because it's shared by everyone, and the people will get to make that decision on the ballot. If they don't want it, they'll vote it down. Hopefully, we'll be able to inform our people as to what those funds will be used for, and that the council will take the necessary actions to designate its use for the streets and infrastructure in the coming years. And that's not all it's needed. We have a lot of drainage problems and et cetera. So it'll take a few years to get through all the work that needs to be done.
Floor is open for questions and discussion. Points well made, Councilman Wright. With the council, this passes second reading, what happens? Then what happens?
We determine, there's a certain amount of notification that the city is supposed to give to the election commission. So once we determine what the dates are for the range to have this on the ballot later this year, when the time is appropriate, we will forward it to the election commission. The election commission would then schedule it to be on the ballot. And then process that just like any other election as far as the proper notices in the newspaper to the election, and we'll start getting some information out with regard to be generated and various infrastructure projects and what the costs are associated with. As you've already mentioned, the substantial portion of that is to start with stormwater. Is something that needs to be addressed, and really at this point it'd be truly just a guess. But in number will be to address that situation.
Will do we need to tag on, need to go ahead and designate this for road infrastructure improvement? Would council do that for the, for the description, will it appear as a description?
The resolution is for infrastructure. It's not a specific state road paving, but it's state infrastructure. So we would be to purpose by the resolution today.
I'm talking about on the ballot. I want it to show up that way on the ballot. Do we need to now ensure that way? Which sentence?
To make the ballot appear to be that way, or does the election commission have that proof? We would make that.
So you could say, do you approve of the sales tax levy to fund infrastructure? Yes, no.
It needs to be that clear and simple.
I think we probably should be a little more specific on that and say for paving and other infrastructure.
Paving is infrastructure.
I know paving is infrastructure, and as Lonnie pointed out, you and I know that, but does everybody else know that?
We can put the
I feel
definition.
100% confident that the voters in Harriman would understand that.
Yeah. You want to figure out whether everybody else knows it or not, watch Jay Leno.
Put the description of infrastructure equals. And they got a pretty good block in there, you can put a lot of words in.
Okay. Motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Well, the reason I support it is for paving, is to fix these streets.
That's all you want.
People understand that.
You just want it for pay.
Well, and
You just said you just want it for pay.
Primarily for pay.
Change his ordinance.
Could I say something? I think that's a valid idea. However, I know of a particular circumstance in which there's going to have to be some side improvement to hold the pavement. The bank is caving in and has eroded. So you need to have the ability to have sometimes a curb improvement or, yeah. But, you know, fundamentally, people should know that it is essentially for paving, but not limited to that entirely.
No, I don't think we need to start over. I think we'll double check and with the election commission if we can't do what we're wanting to do. Whatever goes on the ballot will be brought before this board and approved.
And I think too, there may be some limitations in state law as to what we can and can't put in the wording once it goes on the ballot.
If we approve this tonight, though, will they take that first sentence and put it on there? Could they do that?
Surely we have to approve the stating of how that's done, surely. And can we put that in your hands, Kevin, to make sure that happens?
But if it don't, we've done approved this twice and it's done, we can't redo this.
You know,
You can amend an ordinance.
Yeah, we can amend it.
I think to go ahead and start the clock and get this thing going, and then we need to amend it, we can, but we'll know if we need to amend it tomorrow.
and I mean, if you prefer, I don't think it's going to affect us from a scheduling standpoint. If you would rather defer it to next week and let us try and get those answers between now and then.
Can you make that change between first and second reading? Can you make a change like that? I think you can, yeah.
Yeah, but you're not fundamentally changing the ordinance itself, we're just making clarification.
You said this was a pay raise for the mayor, we'd be different now.
Will the ordinance title itself be used on the ballot? That's the question, I suppose.
We'll know tomorrow.
We used to tackle them in the municipal town.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Call roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
Yes.
Wayne Best?
Yes.
Buddy Holly?
Yeah.
Kenyon Reed?
Yes.
Ken Minnet?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
yes.
The last item, discuss and approve application for a CMAQ grant. Included in your packet is some information on the grant. Once again, Kevin.
This grant program, CMAQ, stands for Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality. It's a grant that TDOT awards on an annual basis. There's a number of different types of projects that can be included as part of this. I was approached by a company that has done a number of these and gotten a number of these funded throughout the state over the last couple of years. There's only certain areas that are eligible to apply for this grant within the state. There's a handful of counties that can apply, and Roane County was recently added to that list, and so this is the first year that any entity within Roane County can apply for the grant. What we had discussed and had looked at was to do a system-wide traffic signal timing and optimization program for the city that would look at the timing on all of our signals, try and set those from a traffic flow standpoint at their peak performance level, and then if there are any components that need to be replaced or upgraded or added that have never been in place, the grant could potentially fund that as well. It's one of the rare grants that's 100% funded, so there's no match required. The only expenditure on the city's part would be to pay someone to do the initial work that would be required to put the application together. In this instance, we estimate that would be about $5,000. And there's a proposed agreement in your packet to do so if the council is interested in moving forward. And I'm trying to answer questions if you have them.
Is there a motion to approve this grant?
Motion.
Motion for discussion purposes by Councilman Ayler. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Minor. Councilman Ayler.
So really all we're doing is just approving you to move forward with the completing the application, which basically costs the city nothing. And the net effect of this grant is basically for the efficiency of traffic flow within the city. Is that correct?
Now, the application would actually cost $5,000.
It does cost
$5,000. But if funded, there would be no match to the grant. So that would be the
So we're not refunded the $5,000, but we're out $5,000, but we can get up to what amount?
Depending on what we end up putting in for, I'm not sure exactly what the maximum is, but I think the largest grant on this list is like 3.8 million. We're not going to get something like that, but I think realistically we're probably 200,000 range.
And I saw 70 million approximately statewide was distributed in 2014, I think. So it looks like they spread it out pretty good.
We don't know if anybody else in Roane County is going to be applying, but you know, one of our hopes would be that since this is the first year that Roane County is eligible, that they will make an effort to fund at least one project in the county.
That's all I have. Councilman Minor.
Just looking over these example types of projects, these are all some things that we need to start thinking about.
Agreed. Floor is open for questions.
Do we want to have anything a little more specific that we're going to spend $5,000? Like, is it that traffic signal changing? Is that the only thing? Because we had a company come in here about 4 or 5 years ago when it just wasn't cost effective to have them. The understanding that you get paid for now, but
You're talking about from a timing standpoint?
yeah, well, I mean, is that the only thing we're asking them to look at on this grant?
Basically, it's to improve traffic flow.
No matter what, whether it's coordination of signals as Knoxville did, or
That's
Traffic flow improvement, which can include that, plus everything. I noticed that, these two.
yeah, that's what it is to take the traffic counts, the existing traffic signals, to maximize the traffic flow by timing all of those signals, and then if those signals require modifications, then it would fund the modifications that are needed to the components to do that. In some cases, it may be that all of that's already just needs to be programmed differently, and they would be working hand in hand with HEB, who handles the maintenance and everything on our signals. But we would probably have to look at this in phases, in that we've got the downtown component, and that would be, while the inventory may do everything, the actual construction of phase one, we would pick an area, whether that's the downtown area that we would focus on in phase one, or whether it's Pine Ridge Road, and all of the traffic signals that are changing there with regard to construction, getting the timing on those so that they flow better. Those are the two main clusters that we have.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. For what we're getting for the $5,000, then we put the grant together to say it's gonna be traffic flow, whatever we need it to be, right? From what you just said. And I'm okay with
Yeah.
that, but what are the chances, what are the risks associated? I mean, there's 100 people apply for this, will they give how many? Are we shooting for a 10% chance of getting it, or 80%?
It isn't very 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6, so you're gonna say however many they have.
85%. There's 10 out of 11.
But we're also adding, we can do it down there, too, so many others.
2014, they awarded a little over 22 million statewide, and then in 2015, they awarded about 47 million.
And where's the 5,000 coming from?
That would be out of our professional services. Yeah.
I guess where I'm confused a little bit is, I'm all for getting money and getting grants, but I drive through there every day, I don't know where the traffic jam up is. As far as the signals, I think they work fine, I don't know that I don't see we got a traffic cop to spend $5,000 for a.
I think there's some improvements we can make. I'd like to see some more of those pads, because these lights are just sitting there. Nobody's at the sides to put the lights through.
But we got 10 lights in the city of Harriman, the whole city. $5,000 to.
You know how much those pads go?
But we're not asking to pay for the pads, we're asking to do a study.
No, this would be the funding to help install the pads too. Grant.
Maybe we got more traffic coming than I had it Sunday, I just didn't know what.
Certain times of day, it was pretty crowded.
You know, when you look at what's happening on Pine Ridge Road, to me, that traffic light is already, it's been set now. It's not, there's nothing to, if you stop at that red light, if it's 1 a.m., you're gonna sit there for 30 or 45 seconds, maybe a minute. There's no traffic at all. And this, for me, that's kind of a no-brainer. And those are about $50,000 per intersection to put those pads in. And to me, it's a frustrating thing to sit and wait when there's no traffic at all coming, so.
I look forward.
To sort of answer your question, Mr. Best, that's a good one, but even the upgrades, some of the upgrades we've made here in town, some of the controls and the wiring still needs to be replaced. I don't know if you could do that under this. There's also, I know of at least one loop in Midtown, when I say loop, it does what you say when you drive over it, it triggers a light. We got one of those, I think, that we're having some trouble with down there.
The grant doesn't technically fund maintenance of the items that are currently in place, like you're referencing the box components.
Okay.
But if those box components can't do, because they're so old and outdated, they don't have the technology to do what this grant will fund them to do, which is move the traffic more efficiently, then they will be replaced at no cost to the city with the new components.
Okay, I got you.
So it's
The other problem you're talking about, Mr. Ayler, is real simple. You just go look around, make sure Chief's not there.
I was gonna say, just making sure the chief heard that right there.
so
Not that I would do that, of course, but.
So it doesn't technically fund maintenance, but in a way, it does.
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of places, well, I come through Pine Ridge. That light will turn red, and there won't be a car inside coming through.
It does that. You don't set backwards right now.
There's something screwy about it.
Because it's construction, it has to be, because when you pull up, it turns red.
Yeah.
But I think it's why they said the lights, I just.
Like you say, it's optimize the traffic flow, but we're gonna need it when they open that road, because it's gonna be 4 new lanes.
But it's the same traffic. I don't know where we're figuring all this new traffic's gonna come from. Maybe it's gonna come, I don't know.
Yeah, they're gonna be running into that new ball field.
Floor is still open for discussion for this grant. The big question is whether we want to spend $5,000 to take a chance on getting the grant, making our city more efficient for our residents.
Are you recommending this?
I think we've got a number of ways that we could benefit from it. And what would happen is, if we approve it, they would start doing the inventory, looking at the traffic counts, and putting together some initial ideas, and then we would probably come back to council with 2 or 3 different options as to what we want to do for phase 1. So that before the application is actually submitted, we would know what area would go under construction. Would it be downtown? Would it be Pine Ridge Road? Would it be Midtown?
Some of those are pretty expensive, the traffic flow.
So you would most likely see this again before the final application goes into the state. But it could be that it's components that are added to the Midtown area with that would improve the traffic flow down there, and whether that includes an additional signal or timing that could help with traffic coming in and out of non-signalized intersections, that could possibly be a part of this.
So you are recommending?
I think we have, I think I've counted about 17 traffic lights in the city that we could choose to pick around.
The one out at the intersection there where the roads are being improved, there's some lighting needs there. I don't know if this would help with that or not.
One thing I would look forward to, one of the things we might have to process. Just like we were Sunday morning, tracks so good.
Any more questions? Discussion? Call roll, please.
Chris Taylor?
Yes.
Wayne Best?
Yes.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Kenyon Me?
No.
Kenny Minor?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes. Before we quit, I got a few more things I want to talk about. Motion to adjourn? Motion. Second.